What if your friends or your coworkers could look up who you voted for? For some, that might be a possibility. Some officials say efforts to make Texas elections more transparent could pose threats to ballot secrecy.
And tomorrow, a Texas House committee will hear testimony on ballot secrecy. Last month, Christina Atkins with the Texas Secretary of State's office said an increase in transparency is causing ballot secrecy concerns, especially during elections with low voter turnout.
Because of the granularity of our records, there is a possibility to discover or to find an individual's ballot through process of elimination.
And we want to bring in Jim Henson. He's the executive director of the Texas Politics Project at UT Austin. Thanks for being here.
Great to be back with you.
So give us some perspective here. We're talking about legally obtained, publicly available documents that could reveal how somebody voted. How does that really impact your average voter's privacy?
Yeah, it sounds kind of crazy, but clearly we're seeing a problem. I think voters should be concerned but not alarmed at this point. As your intro said, you know, the conditions under which ballot secrecy has been violated so far are seem to be a pretty rare alignment of factors based on what we know so far. But there's still a lot more to know, I think.
Okay, and Jim, have there been any reports of apparent breaches of the secret ballot?
Well, there have been, but mostly it's come in very isolated circumstances. The first one we know about was the revelation of a vote by a former Republican Party chair. That was revealed by kind of activist website, social media. I don't know what we call those these days. Not like you guys, but then was later confirmed by some more legitimate media outlets. And so we know that what seems to be happening is that in areas where there are low voter turnout and you have some other information about when somebody voted, you might be able to, in a sense, reverse engineer the vote. So it's one part kind of detective work, one part transparency, and I think in some of these cases so far, you know, one part political mischief.
So it is, I guess, a little bit comforting to know that this isn't a case of where, like, here's my name and here's who I voted for, these documents that could be obtained. It is, as you say, with some research and things like that. Still, it's alarming enough that the Texas Secretary of State's office has gotten involved with some emergency response protocol. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, the Secretary of State has urged county voting officials to make sure that they redact enough information so that you can't really pull off this kind of a deductive effort. That broad guidance with some suggestions of various ways of redacting these records has been sent to county officials, and like so many things in Texas and around the country, for now, it'll be up to county officials to figure out how to follow that advice.
Okay, and we know since 2020, Texas lawmakers have made election records more accessible to the public. Tomorrow there is a meeting with lawmakers. It's a public hearing. What can we expect from that? We know legislative change will not happen this year or tomorrow, but what can we expect from that meeting and that hearing that's happening?
Well, I mean, I think for people that watch the legislature, we can expect two very familiar things. On one hand, we'll see the legislature acting as they should, and this committee acting as they should, and trying to get to the bottom of it. We'll see a lot of questioning about this, some investigation, but we'll also see a lot of politics, given that the information that seems to be made available was at least in part attributable to legislation that was promoted last session by advocates of increased transparency that in many cases were motivated to some degree by a lot of a mixture of grounded and ungrounded suspicions about how well the election system works.
Jim Henson with the Texas Politics Project at UT. Thank you so much for your insight today.
Thanks for having me. Great to be with y'all.